Hello, I'm Bailey Leisure, and I'm back with another baseball video today. This is my 2019 MLB regular season prediction, as I will be predicting what will happen in the 2019 Major League Baseball. So to start off this video, I'm going to talk about some storylines to look out for in the 2019 Major League Baseball season. I'm going to be talking about the first story I'm going to talk about is the Phillies and how they went all in the offseason, getting players like JT Realmuto, Andrew McCutchen, and the big one, Bryce Harper, paying over $330 million with no opt-outs in his deal. The Phillies last year, they were pretty competitive for most of the season until the late in the second half, where they just unfortunately could not keep up with the Atlanta Braves due to some pitching issues. And finished second. But it was definitely a big step for them, considering they were one of the worst teams in baseball in 2017. So it was definitely a big step forward, and they're looking to make the next step forward and get into the postseason. Listen, I think they have the power in their lineup. Having a Drew Herrera, having JT Realmuto, having McCutchen, having Bryce Harper, having their own homegrown star in Rhys Hoskins. They have a great ace in Aaron Nola. I think my biggest question with the Philadelphia Phillies will be the rest of that pitching staff and mainly the bullpen. Something that they really struggled with last season was the bullpen. If they're able to get those issues up, I think they have a very good chance of winning the National League. The second story I think to look out for this upcoming season will be the Cincinnati Reds. They kind of, they didn't look as bad for a good portion after changing their manager midway through the 2018 Major League Baseball season. They went and were pretty aggressive in the offseason, this past offseason, making that big trip with the Dodgers, getting Matt Kemp, Yasiel Puig, Alex Wood, Kyle Farmer. They went out and got Sonny Gray, and I think a change of scenery is really going to help them out. I think with the big thing with Cincinnati, I think there's a good chance they get out of last place, but they are in the toughest division in baseball with, the big two powerhouse teams and the Chicago Cubs and the Milwaukee Brewers and the St. Louis Cardinals, who are looking to rebound and get back into the postseason, considering they haven't been in the postseason for a couple seasons. I think Cincinnati, they have a good chance of getting out of last place, and they could be one of those, dark horse playoff, wild card contenders. I think it just depends on Joey Votto having a great season, Scooter Gennett, and the stars that they acquired, like the Puigs and the Kemps and the Sonny Grays. The stars that they got in the offseason for them to live up to expectations. I think the third storyline to look out for in this upcoming Major League Baseball season was Mike Trout getting $430 million. That's pretty much going to make him an angel for life, most likely. Can they finally compete? That's been a big issue. Mike Trout has made them watchable and has made them sub 500, but they've just unfortunately just not been able to build around him. Last year they were able to get a nice bat to complement with him and Andrelton Simmons, excuse me. But I think the big question is they need to get pitching. Something they've just not had in the Mike Trout era. I think while Mike Trout's been in the majors, they made the postseason once, and that was in 2014. So it's been 5 years since they made the postseason, and in a tough American League, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to compete. I think it's big for the Angels to not waste his career, and we can see, Mike Trout's one of the greatest stars of our generation, but can he actually get into the postseason? Something that I think a lot of baseball fans want to see him do and compete. I think the fourth storyline to look out for will be the National League West. The LA Dodgers have obviously won this division for 6 years in a row. In the last 2 years, they've represented the National League in the World Series, where they've lost at home in 2017 in 7 games to the Astros, and then in 5 games to the Red Sox. But they came very close to being dethroned last year in the 163rd game. So the big question will be, who has the best chance to dethrone the LA Dodgers in the National League West? Well, if you look at the division, I'd probably say Colorado and San Diego probably have the best chances. San Diego, I think getting Manny Machado, I think they definitely have, they got some great prospects and have a great farm system to be up and coming in the next year or two. Although I'm not sure if they're quite there. As far as Colorado is concerned, even though they lost DJ LeMahieu, they still have, the two-headed monster and Charlie Blackmon and Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story, who had a great season as well last year. I think they have a chance to have a better lineup. But I think the big question mark And I think it's a big key will be the National League and their bullpen. And we saw last season, the LA Dodgers, that was kind of their Achilles heel last year, despite beating the last few seasons prior to that, has been bullpen. If I think with the Diamondbacks, after losing so much, 3 All-Stars, I mean, they're not looking ready to compete. And with the Giants, a lot of their stars are aging, and it looks like they're probably about to hit the rebuild mode as well. So I think LA, it's probably their division to win again, but I think at the same time, San Diego could make that next step forward, and maybe Colorado finally has the experience enough to take down the Dodgers in the National League West this year. And then a fifth story that I probably would look at is the American League, a 2-team league. I mean, it really seems like the heavy favorites are the Red Sox and the Astros, and that's kind of it. I don't know if it's just not, there are so many teams rebuilding in that. I mean, you look at the American League Central, you look at some of the teams in the East. I mean, there's so many teams. Half the league seems like it's rebuilding. I mean, you do have the Yankees, but I don't think they have enough pieces to take down either one of these teams. I mean, they lost Luis Severino, their big ace. He's going to be probably out till May. So who's the possible team to upset those two teams from getting to the World Series again? So that's another storyline to be. And now the predictions in the divisions. Starting off with the American League East, I think the favorites are the defending World Series champion Boston Red Sox. I think second on this list will be the New York Yankees, and I think they'll be the first wild card team as well. Third, a team that won 90 games last year, missed the postseason, the Tampa Bay Rays. I think they make the next step and they just slide into that second wild card spot. Fourth on this list will be the rebuilding Blue Jays, even though they have a couple prospects in their system that could, maybe make some noise. And then obviously after selling off the rest of their team last season, in last place will be the Baltimore Orioles. And then in the Central, in the weakest division in baseball, in my opinion, I gotta say the Indians are probably still the favorite, even though they're a favorite, they're not a heavy favorite, and I just don't see any of these teams doing anything. The Twins were one of the teams I picked to win the division last year and upset the Indians, and that was not the case. I do think they finished second. I think most of these teams are rebuilding. The Tigers rebuilding, obviously. The White Sox, they were trying to be aggressive in the offseason, but unfortunately missed out on Manny Machado and Bryce Harper. They'll be in fourth. And the Royals, they definitely took a huge blow in spring when they lost Salvador Perez. He had to have Tommy John surgery, and he's out for the rest of the year. So they'll finish in last place. And then in the American League West, I think obviously the heavy favorites are the Houston Astros. I mean, even though they lost Charlie Morton and Dallas Keuchel, I still think a pitching staff led by Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, and Wade Miley, who had a great postseason with the Milwaukee Brewers last season. I think that's a big pitching staff. I think the big concern for them is hopefully getting some good bullpen. But in second, I think the Oakland A's, I think they'll be competing for a wild card spot, but I think they're not, I think they'll just miss out this year. In third, I think will be the Angels. In fourth will be the Mariners, and fifth will be the rebuilding Texans. Moving on to the National League and the National League East, I think the favorites will be the team that surprised a lot of people last year. I think they take another good step, and I'm going to go with the Atlanta Braves to win that division. I think the Phillies finish second, and I think they get a wild card spot, probably the second wild card team. The Nationals, I think, could be competitive even without Bryce Harper, still have some great pitchers, but I don't think they're gonna, I don't think they're gonna compete. Fourth will be the Mets. I think the Mets, if they stay healthy, they could surprise, but I just don't think that's the case. And then fifth will be the Miami. In the National League Central, in the toughest division in baseball, where all teams are looking to make big steps up, I think the Brewers have the star power, and honestly, I think they look like the younger team. I think the Cubs last year and the last 2 years since they won the World Series, they've looked a little bit older, and I think the Brewers, they take that advantage again, and I think they win the division. The Cubs, I think, are still a wild card team, and I got to say, I think they get the first wild card spot like they did last year. In third, I think they'll just miss out the St. Louis Cardinals. I think Cincinnati will get out of last place, but they're not quite there yet. They'll be fourth, and then in fifth place will be the Pittsburgh. And then in the National League West, I think it's, like I said, previously. I gotta say it's the Dodgers division to lose. I think they'll finish in first and win their 7th consecutive division. Although I think at this point for Dodger fans, it doesn't mean anything. I think they're looking for that one thing that they've been looking for 31 years, which is a World Series title. So anything short of that is going to be disappointing. I think the Rockies still hold on to that second place team, and they're definitely a wild card contender, but I don't think they have the pitching and the bullpen enough to get that, especially losing guys like Adam Ottavino. I think the Padres get out of that last place or 4th place spot. I think they finish 3rd. This is kind of a coin flip who's going to finish 4th and 5th. I will say the Diamondbacks will finish 4th because, I don't know, maybe I like their pitching staff a little bit more, even though they probably, as far as the lineup's concerned, they probably have the weakest in all of the National League West. But it was really a coin flip, and I'll put the Diamondbacks in 4th place, and the Giants will finish in last. And that's it for my video. As always, follow me on Twitter at BeoLaser96. I just want to announce that I'm probably not going to be able to do a free agency NFL recap video. I've just been really busy lately, and this week I had a little bit of a cold, so I just couldn't get around to it. As I did the previous 2 years, I'm not going to be doing this year. I'm not doing a World Series prediction in this video, so, but that's just, you can, in the comment section, leave the comments below. Who do you think are the favorites to win the World Series this year? But as always, follow me on Twitter, BeoLaser96, as I said before. If you liked the video, click like, subscribe, and leave your comments below on what you think will happen in the 2019 Major League Baseball season. So, thanks everybody for watching, and I will see you all later.